Hello, this is Mark Tooley, President of the Institute on Religion and Democracy in Washington, D.C., and editor of Providence, a journal of Christianity and American foreign policy, with the pleasure today of speaking with a new friend in Poland, very much involved with the Ukraine situation. He is, and let me pronounce his name carefully, Jaroslaw Lukasik. He is Polish, a Pentecostal preacher who founded a church in Minsk, Belarus, later started a ministry in Kyiv, Ukraine. He is the founder, and I assume still the CEO of the Eastern European Leadership Forum, and is currently very involved in getting relief to people in Ukraine during this wartime situation. So Jaroslaw, thank you so much for joining this conversation, and tell us what you are doing currently to get relief to Ukrainians.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very glad to be with you. Yes, so I worked in Ukraine for 14 years. So we lived we live now in Ukraine with my family there. So our ministry is focused on preparing Christian for public sphere. So we do various projects as Eastern European Leadership Forum, or some media projects like Christians for Ukraine, or Christian Open Academy. We started just 1.5 years when this epidemic started. We founded the Christian Open Academy. That's with aim of preparing Christian for public sphere. So when started the war, we created a network between Ukrainian churches, Polish churches, churches from Western Europe, for help Ukraine, how we can help Ukraine in this crisis time, in this disaster that is happening right now.
And so you are obviously in regular contact with friends and associates in Ukraine, directly confronted by the war, by phone and by email. What are they telling you?
Yeah, sure. So in Ukraine works internet, and even in very hot places where is battles right now, internet works. So we are in contact, phones, everything work, and we work in two directions. So one direction is from east to west. So we work with refugees. We work with we help people who work with evacuation of people from dangerous places, and with refugees. So we have a lot of refugees right now, especially in Poland. Just the day before yesterday, we had a Polish border crossed almost 120,000 refugees. Could you imagine? So it's a lot of people here, and so it's one type of work. Another one is from the west to east. It's gathering some help. So we receive trucks or buy things here in Poland and pack in trucks and sent to Ukraine. So there is some system. These trucks come to Western Ukraine, and from hubs that are created now there in the Western Ukrainian cities. They are distributed to places where is big need, because people need medicine, food, some stuff, some essential items. So it's even I read today in newspaper, Polish newspaper, that that happened first death from hunger. So people are. There are some places where people have not food.
And Ukraine has more Protestants and evangelicals than any of the former Soviet republics, and perhaps more than Russia itself. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. We can say that 75% of evangelical believers in Soviet time was in Ukraine. And even churches in Russia today are funded mostly by Ukrainian missionaries, and church leadership in Russia today. Many of them are Ukrainians. So in Ukraine, it was a quite big revival in the beginning of 20th century. Especially in western and southern Ukraine. So therefore, we use sometimes that Ukraine is a missionary country of missionaries.
And the churches with whom you have contact in Kyiv and elsewhere, are they managing to gather for worship during these times?
Yes. Even so churches continue to meet, and even we can say that I received a lot of testimonies that non-believers come to such meetings. So people really need God now, especially in Kyiv. Kyiv is under siege, is surrounded, not but from northern, western and eastern side is surrounded by Russian troops. So it's building are bombing. So it's quite danger time, and people really call to God, and it's doing great spiritual work among them.
And we often hear that despite the official Christianity of the Russian regime and the role of the Russian Orthodox Church, the rate of actual religious participation in Russia is very, very low. I think regular church attendance is well under 10%. What is religious active attendance in Ukraine like? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, so I think it's a big difference between Russia and Ukraine in this spiritual way. So I don't want to be subjective, like it's war, so I need to say something bad about Russia and something good about Ukraine. So in Ukraine there is a lot of spiritual problems and sin, etc. But anyway, I think the spiritual atmosphere in Ukraine is very a big difference with Russia. So first, Russia's Orthodox Church is it's not free church. We cannot say it's. I think it's some type of part of government. It's a ministry, ministry like one of branches of government. And it's in Russian tradition. So we know that even in times of Byzantium, or especially after in time of Mongol Tatars, when they governed in Russia, and after during Tsars, the church was under Tsar. And therefore, church controls people and serve for dictatorship. There are some evangelical churches, but many of them are also are influenced by propaganda. So, and it's very painful for us hearing from our brothers in Christ some horrible things, that they don't believe that it's a war in Ukraine. They say it's fake news, what we see, your video that you sent us. And So propaganda is huge, and Christians sometimes don't know how to have deal with such a propaganda.
Now, in Ukraine, obviously, historically, Eastern Orthodoxy was the majority religion, followed by Catholicism, and then evangelicals and Protestants. I assume there's been a great sense of fraternity and unity among Christians across communions in this wartime situation.
Yes, yes, in wartime situation, but what I think this time. So churches was prepared during 2 decades, I think, to this situation. I remember in 2002, David Wilkerson came to Kyiv, and on stadium he had a sermon, and during this sermon he said, "I've never seen such divided church like in Ukraine." So that time, church in Ukraine was very divided, and it was so many conflicts. But in 2017, in Ukraine, 30 Protestant denominations, they united together for making great anniversary of Reformation, and it was great cooperation, even in villages, in small towns. It was steering committees, and people from different denominations made a lot of projects for giving testimony to society. And also in Ukraine works a council of churches and Christian organizations, and they meet every week. So it's very good work that really we can say that church is united. And today also we work in our network. We work is Protestants, Catholics, Orthodox people. So we work together because only in this synergy we can solve horrible problems that Ukraine face right now. So only doing a good chain of, for example, distribution of food, of medicine, etc., we can be successful in this time.
And presumably many members of the churches you have relationships with are serving in the Ukrainian armed forces right now.
Yes. So many people serve in the Ukrainian forces. Many people serve in voluntary territory defense. Also, it's also type of military troops, and also there are chaplain ministry development. So there are several chaplain associations. So yeah, people understand that it's all these things that we like pacifism or other things. So in this day, theology is changing radically.
And then finally, you are today in Lublin, Poland. Is there a great sense of support and solidarity in Poland for the people of Ukraine?
Yeah, so Lublin is very specific city, very strategic city for help for Ukraine, because it's the biggest city in eastern Poland and nearest big city to Ukrainian border. So Ukrainian refugees mostly go through Lublin, and the same aid from the west also generally is going through this city. So even in 2015, I had such vision to create some center in Lublin for help for Ukraine. So now it is this time when, namely in this city, the manager generally in all Poland and in other countries everywhere is gathering help for Ukraine, and people accept refugees. But I think that Lublin has really very strategic role in this, and this network is creating here, and many people, even people that I don't know them, they call to us and want to meet here, because they see a map, and they see Lublin as a place where is near to the border. So we created a hub here, and there is a council of pastors and other activists that meet together, coordinate their work, having good contact with Ukrainian churches, with such coordinators in various Ukrainian regions.
Jaroslaw Lukasik, thank you so much for a very informative conversation, and God bless your labors as you strive to help the suffering people of Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, American people, for your compassion, for your love, and for your support, every support in political way, diplomatic way, in every material aid that you give for us, for Ukraine, in this not easy time. Thank you very much.